you guys were not. You were in. Actually, you were in our preseason.
I was in Portland as well.
I want to cover playoff hockey in Vancouver. I want the fans to enjoy and experience playoff hockey in Vancouver. I want the Canucks to win a Stanley Cup for this city. And looking at Raptors Twitter right now, a fade for Cade. I feel like a lot of them are would love to see him there. I mean, I'm not advocating for that, but I mean, I know that's big on Raptors Twitter minds these days.
LA gave one out to Jared Goff, and they've already moved on. Correct. They didn't think that could work for them.
Okay, sports fans, it's time for the Unnamed Sports Show. Here's your host, Joshua Griffith.
Hello and welcome. This is, of course, the Unnamed Sports Show, and I am your host, Joshua Griffith. This is a presentation of the Sports Talk Line Network, where we talk sports 24/7, 365. Today on the show, we are going to go over the NBA Draft Lottery. That's right, it happened tonight. The balls all rang down. Picks are in. And what are the teams going to do? So, I'm going to give you a breakdown of my top 10 NBA draft picks. But before we get to that, let's take care of the housekeeping, of course. Make sure to like and subscribe down at the bottom. This is something that's really important. I want to hear from you guys. I know it's going to be a crazy draft. There's a lot of talent. It's stocked at the high end. There could be some off the board picks. I want to hear what you guys think. Okay. I want to hear what you guys think of the draft. What are the Raptors going to take? Because they moved up. We're going to get to that a little bit later, but I want to hear everyone's opinion. So make sure you give lots of comments down at the bottom there. And then if you do not already, subscribe to the Sports Talk Line YouTube channel. So, like I said, the balls have bounced, pardon the pun, of course, and the Raptors moved up to 4th overall. The winner of the draft lottery was the Detroit Pistons, who will pick first in 2021. Cough. Cade Cunningham. Cough. Houston is going to pick second, and the Cleveland Cavaliers are slotted in at the 3rd spot. Orlando will get their first of their 2 top 8 picks, starting at number 5, followed by OKC and then the Golden State Warriors. After Orlando picks again, the Sacramento Kings and the New Orleans Pelicans are going to round out the top 10. So before we get to the top 10, let's give some honorable mentions for my not top 10 of the NBA class. Scott Barnes, he's in a lot of people's lists. I don't think he's going top 10. 6'9" out of Florida State. He's got flashes of Draymond Green, but there are better comparisons in the draft, and we're going to get to them. Josh Giddey out of Australia, out of Adelaide United, the 36ers. Played a limited amount there, but he figured he showed enough that his skill as a 6'8" point guard that can really handle the ball will set him up in the draft nicely. Keon Johnson, 6'3" shooting guard out of Tennessee. Luka Garza, another couple people that have made my honorable mentions. And before we get to the rest of it, make sure to like and subscribe to the Sports Talk Line Network. So, without further ado, here is my number 10 pick for the New Orleans Pelicans. So, will they even be the New Orleans Pelicans by the time the draft goes down? Yeah, they probably will be, and they should take Davion Mitchell out of Baylor. If he's on the board, he said tonight at the draft lottery, defensively, I can make it hard for their best player. He's the kind of player you want on your team. He would entice the Pelicans with his ability to play the game properly at both ends. Last season, the junior put up 14 points and added 5.5 assists. So when you see him play, you think of Draymond Green, and that's good for a team that already has an offensive juggernaut in Zion Williamson. Number 9, the Sacramento Kings. Well, If you're a Sacramento Kings fan and you're sitting at number 9, I don't really know what to tell you here. I imagine that GM Vlade Divac will make the right decision and go with a 6'0" guard Sharif Cooper out of Auburn. I imagine that the organization will somehow screw things up, unfortunately. 20.2 points a game and 8 assists. You think he might be the answer, but again, there is really no answer for the Kings organization, and I apologize if you're a Kings fan. Let's go to number 8. Orlando sits nicely with the 8th and 5th pick in this year's NBA draft, and with guard depth available early, I think they're going to go a bit off the board with this pick, picking Corey Kispert out of Gonzaga with the 8th pick to help solidify the front court a bit. So we all remember Kispert from the NCAA tournament. Geez, what a beauty. Orlando will hope that he can continue on his upward projections. One of the few players that slugged out the full 4 years at university. So Kispert is a smart cookie. He also added 18.6 points and 5 rebounds last season with the Bulldogs. Well, let's move on to the 7th overall pick. Golden State Warriors are next, and they need help in the backcourt. James Bouknight should fit in nicely with what Steve Kerr is trying to accomplish. The 6'5" shooting guard from UConn has a very complete game, whether it's pulling up from mid-range or driving it to the basket. The defensive game needs a bit of work, but it's better to focus, on the defensive game when you're playing with Golden State. Bouknight was an all Big East first team last season with UConn, averaging 18.7 points. So he could make a difference for Golden State Warriors. Let's move on to number 6. This is where I'm going to go off the board for the OKC Thunder. Sam Presti has accumulated a plethora of draft picks that extended sometime beyond 2030. Yes, that's hyperbole. He's got them just before that, but it's ridiculous. If they don't hit on a number 6 this year, they have unlimited tries. They can do it again next year. They can do it again the year after. But I think that they are going to be pretty good this year if they take Moses Moody out of Arkansas. Like I said, going a bit off the draft board for this one, but this guy's kind of a game changer. He turned heads in March, and added 16 points a game over a 32 game span with Arkansas. So, if you want to set up an offense and a pick and roll game, this is the guy to do it with. Again, I stress the fact that they have so many chances to redo things. So who cares, right? Let's move to number 5. The Orlando Magic. Again, like I said, they have 2 in the top 8. And I think they're going to be looking for a guard in this top 5 pick. They're going to go with Jonathan Kumagana. The marquee big man is going to be the marquee big man in this draft is going to be gone by the time the Magic make their first pick. And the second best one in this draft is Kumagana. So why not take him? He's got a 6'8" wing, hasn't been doing, and he's been, doing very good things in the G League, averaging 15 plus points last year. Could add to the young core for the Magic, and chances are the best 4 players are going to be gone by this point. So it depends on what management wants to do in Orlando. On to number 4. Where are the We Are the North fans? The Raptors jumped up big in the draft up to number 4. Fingers were crossed for the number 1 pick, but hey, number 4 will live with it in a very deep draft, and that leaves them with a lot of options. Jalen Suggs should fall to them at 4th overall, and it would be hard to pass up. The 6'5" point guard out of Gonzaga put up 14 points a game and added 4.5 assists and 1.9 steals in 30 games last season. So this could possibly be the replacement the Raptors need for Kyle Lowry if they choose to move on for him. Only time will tell, but a crowded backcourt of Fred VanVleet, Malachi Flynn, cards might be just falling into place. The Raptors move on from Kyle Lowry. One of the downsides of Suggs, unfortunately, could be his three-point shooting, as it was just 33.7%. But if the only problem for Suggs, and he falls to the Raptors of 4, Masai Ujiri or whoever is in charge of the team will get another draft steal. Let's move on to number 3. The Cleveland Cavaliers. Both the Cavs and the Rockets need a strong presence in the front of court, but unfortunately, by the time that Cleveland drafts, I think that their pick will be gone, which means they will need to address an issue at wing. Jalen Green, the 6'6" guard from League Ignite in the G League, is my pick for the Cleveland Cavaliers. With Colin Sexton and Darius Garland, kind of feel like they're going to pass on Suggs. And Green averaging 17.9 points in 15 games last season in the G League. He's someone that's just going to kind of fit in. He can constantly drive to the basket. He'll make you pay from the line. He can improve as a playmaker, of course, but still chipped in. I'm honest, 2.8 assists a game. For the team in Cleveland that needs a lot of help, this is a start. Number 2. The Houston Rockets need help everywhere. Of course, we all know that, but Evan Mobley will give the most help. The 6'11" center took USC on a nice run in the NCAA tournament and showed his ability on both ends of the court. Length, size, the ability to run the floor as a big man and make his way to hard. And the ability to run the floor as a big man is going to make it way too hard to pass up for the Rockets. There are questions about his drive off the court, but James Harden isn't in Houston anymore, so I don't think he's going to have any bad influences. He averaged 16.4 points a game and 8.7 rebounds in 33 games with the Trojans last season. The knock on Mobley is his size a bit, and is he going to be physical enough to compete in the NBA? Now, yes. 20 years ago, maybe not. I think this is a solid pick for the Rockets. And let's move to number 1. That's right. The overall consensus number 1 pick, of course, Cade Cunningham. Should we pause for applause? Or no? The 6'8" point guard out of Oklahoma State is going to make an impact on whatever team he joins, and it's going to be the Detroit Pistons. In this case, what makes Cade so good? Well, if you didn't see what he had done at the NCAA tournament and you haven't watched what he did for the last 2 years at Oklahoma State, I don't know, YouTube some stuff. I should be watching this kid. He's got vision. He's got passing ability. He's going to showcase it nicely in the NBA. He can do it from both hands. Some of his passing is absolutely phenomenal. His bounce passes, both sides, catching people running down the floor. He's got a good ability to defend in the NBA, which you don't see every day. Despite not being a prolific scorer and lacking that finish in the tough areas, Cade is going to live up to all his number 1 pick status. His size is going to allow him to guard multiple positions on defense. And despite him lacking a bit of explosiveness, I think he won't be the kind of player who's on the receiving end of an alley-oop. Comparisons, maybe Ben Simmons, except Ben Simmons can't score. That's not a good comparison. But yes, Cade Cunningham is going to be a good player for the Detroit Pistons. So that is my top 10. And I hope that you absolutely hate it, because that means you're going to give me lots of comments in the bottom and let me know who your top 10 is. Give me all of them. If you just want to give me a top 3, if you just disagree with some of my picks up in the later halves, let me know what you think the NBA draft is going to look like this year. I'd love to hear from you. Make sure to comment back and respond to you as we love that here at the Sports Talk Line. So for the Unnamed Sports Show, I have been your host, Joshua Griffith, here on the NBA Draft Lottery Show. If you haven't already, click the like button, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And remember to love sports, all sports.